and how it's affecting business.
Okay.
So yeah, you haven't missed much yet.
Okay.
Do we see? I mean, I hooked up with DocuSign, but I don't see how it's linked inside.
I could try to do it, and I couldn't in settings, and it didn't work.
So when you go up to your name and you go up to, hold on, I'm gonna bring this down.
Yeah, I went up to my name, and it was under settings, and I tried because I did it yesterday with Twilio, and I tried to get a DocuSign.
So when you got to this point right here where you can see my DocuSign, you connected the account and you registered with DocuSign?
No, I haven't done. It didn't allow me to do that. It said I'll have to look at it, okay, and figure out what's going on, but it wouldn't allow me to do it.
Okay, so what you're gonna have to do is, I was going through this with Sergio yesterday.
Okay.
He was having a problem with it as well.
Right.
And when you go in, you connect the account, you have to, preferably you want to sync your KW email with the DocuSign thing, but for him, I had to do his personal email.
Okay.
Because when he originally tried to set up the account, he had an error come up in the midst of the setup. So
Right.
it recognized his email, but it never actually let him set up the account. So I couldn't actually set it up with his KW email. I had to set it up with his personal, because he had to restart the process again.
Okay.
But
yeah, I connected.
Okay, I'll see what happens later. Otherwise, I might have to call you to help me guide you. Okay, I'll try it again.
But so after you get those synced up, it'll ask you to authorize DocuSign. And all that's doing is sending you an email saying that this is you. You create your password and a security question, and when you authorize it, it connects it directly to command. And from there, when you have this screen, you can see my screen, right?
But yeah, I see your screen. Yeah, I'm looking at your screen. I'm just confused when you said, because I went into DocuSign to try and connect it, because it was like it just wouldn't let me do it. But I don't want to take up everybody's time, so let me try, and if I have trouble with it, I'll call you later.
Well, it's okay, because this is what I'm going over with the whole compliance.
Oh, okay, okay.
So hold on, let me see if it'll do this for me. I'll go back in and reconnect my account, but let me see if it'll let me do this. So when I connect, you see how it has my DocuSign connection here?
Wait, okay, so what if I didn't set that up then? Like, would I have had to set that up someplace? That's what I'm confused about.
It would ask you when you click on connect
account.
So
when you click on connect account, it's going to ask you for your name, last name, and a preferred email address to send your registration to.
Okay, I'll try. Okay, I must have screwed something up then. Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send it to a personal email.
Mm-hmm.
And when I send the registration email, if it doesn't recognize my account, because I used it yesterday, it's going to send me a registration like, yeah, see?
Right, okay, right, because you're already in there.
Hold on. Okay, so you see how it's waiting on the right for me to authorize the account?
Yes.
So what it did was it sent me an email.
Right.
And when I go into my email, I'm going to set up my password and my security question on the back end. That way, when I go back in here and authorize it, it'll just be me signing in and accepting the terms of DocuSign. That's your setup for DocuSign.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
But then when you're in opportunities where I don't see any link to
DocuSign. Yeah, I'm going to show you right now. I just need to sign back in so it's connected to my account.
Okay.
And this is the page that you'll see when you're trying to sign back in.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing here will change whenever it's ready. Okay. So now when you go into your opportunities, I'll just create a blank one so you can see it from scratch.
Right.
So when you create, I'll have the listing.
I just have to get something to drink. Hold on.
Yeah.
You're good. You got 6%.
Yeah. Hey. If I could get 6% every time, I'd be very happy with myself.
Yeah, really.
All right, so and then I'm just going to use the address for my and that's another thing, you have to have the address in the
Yeah, you got to put an address in.
yeah, otherwise it doesn't accept anything when you're done and you try
Right,
to get
right.
paid. Okay, so I'm going to do 68 Thompson Ave. It'll auto populate everything, so you don't have to worry about that. And then in order to start the transaction with DocuSign, when you go into documents,
Mm-hmm.
you click on the top right where it says start a transaction.
Right.
And this is what's going to bring you to the rooms in DocuSign. Then you just put your email address in. It'll ask for the password. And then it'll bring you right to your DocuSign room for that particular listing or seller, or however you're, whatever kind of contact you're trying to do. It'll tell you the date it was created, and you'll have access to all the envelopes and stuff. What I recommend you do is that anything you're trying to send to someone, you create the envelope, whatever you need to have in it. So let's just say listing. This is what I'm working on right now, because right now I need what do you call it?
So would we have the forms uploaded, or where are the forms going to be for listings that we?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to
Okay.
what I need to have is I need to have admin access so I can add when I add things, it adds for everyone, not just
Right.
myself.
Right.
So that's the struggle that I'm having, because it did not give Doug or myself admin access when they started this whole thing.
Okay.
So it has to go straight back to DocuSign to give either one of us access, so that when I add things, it adds for everyone. Because right now, if I was to make changes, if I wanted to add documents for everyone to use, it would only add them for me.
Okay.
So anything that I would do right now would be kind of wasted, because I'd have to double my efforts when I get the admin access. I'd have to do what I did for myself, and I have to redo
Right. Do it
everything
again for everybody.
for
Yeah,
everyone
right.
else. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where the pain comes in. But you know how you did it in Dotloop, where you just selected all the forms that you wanted to send out, and you
Right.
edit them however you wanted to edit them, and you sent it out. It's the same thing here, except they call it envelopes.
Okay.
And the nice thing about having the envelope is that I'm sure you guys know that before, when you did this, you had to import from Dotloop.
Mm-hmm.
It's a similar thing, but it's actually a shorter step, because since it's directly integrated with DocuSign, you can just can't get back into my command. All right. So when I go back into command, and you see how they have all these documents here,
Right.
you can just auto populate from. See how it says DocuSign right there? Whatever you import from DocuSign, it'll be all here. You can just select it, and whatever you added to that particular envelope, or whatever that file was for that particular listing or whatever, will populate here. You click on them all, assign them, and then they'll populate in these sections wherever they're permitted. And then you can submit it for review to Terry, which is in the Morgan Center.
You're taking all our our forms are in and we're putting them into DocuSign.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I need the access for. Like I said, if I was to add everything now, it would only be added for myself, because I do not have admin access. When I get the admin access, then everything that I do will be out to everyone.
Now, are there templates like Dotloop where you can create, like, where I don't have to retype my name in every time?
Yeah, it is a similar setup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, in order to get the documents that we need, on a day-to-day basis, because right now we are not set up. If I was to go into this and
so there's no forms. The forms don't reside in DocuSign. We have to import them from.
Yeah, right now when we use DocuSign through command, we're just importing what we have already. So say you have documents from Dotloop, you can just import them directly into your command for now.
And that's where once you bring them into DocuSign, that's when.
And once you'll be able to fill them out and leave templates in there, so you can just send them out whenever you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that was the tedious thing when I started doing this before we put out the termination thing for Dotloop. Was I was trying to figure out how to get everything in for people, and when I figured it out, I learned that when I changed it, it did not change for everyone. It only changed for me.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was starting to do everything for the documents, and then when I started asking people if they could see anything in DocuSign, like the people from the technology committee, they said no, and I'm like, I need to figure out why, because there's no point in me doing everything twice. So I might as well wait until they give me the access and then do everything at once. All right, hold on.
I just lost you.
Okay. And then there's one other thing that we've been seeing since we started doing this with Command. Everyone is kind of skipping the step of importing their documents and then submitting it to the market center for compliance. They're going right to submitting their purchase offer and then applying for the commission, which is, blanked out right here until you have a purchase offer. You have to submit your documents after each thing to submit to MC so that we know that it's under compliance, and then you can submit the offer for commissions.
I've been doing that loop.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying when we start doing everything through this,
Right.
That's the order you'll have to do it in. You'll have to make sure everything that you needed was in this list, or if not, you can just add it to the bottom. It's not limited to what's here. And then once everything is submitted here and accepted, or reviewed, you can go into your offers, submit the purchase offer, and then your commissions thing will come up when the purchase offer goes through.
Right. Well, yeah. If it's a listing, obviously.
If it's your listing, right? If it's not your listing, then it's just your offer.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's only like for all your listing papers.
Your agency, you got to do your agency disclosure.
Yeah. Even though, I mean, Rand doesn't give you agency disclosure, just FYI. When it's your listing, you can't even get the Rand.
No, you need as the buyer's agent. You need
as a buyer's agent, right? But Rand won't even if you're a listing agent, Rand won't send over.
No, we
don't. Never get.
Yeah, we're not required to have their agency disclosure unless the seller wants to see.
Right. It. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it'll be the document section for this will all be different for buying, listing, and leasing. They'll all be different. They'll all be set up the way they're supposed to be set up. And it'll tell you what's required to submit to MC and what's not required. And then your offers thing will come up, and then the commissions part will come up. The one big difference that I've noticed so far is that I think everybody got a little used to the list. Say we had something in-house that we did with 2 agents. Everybody was used to having the listing agent, submit for everything. It's not going to be that way anymore because everybody's going to have their own opportunities. So if, let's just say myself and Alan had a deal, Alan had the listing and I had the buyer, we're both going to have to submit everything through Command because we both have sides of it. I have a buyer side, which is in Command. He has the listing side, which is in Command. So in order for us both to get paid, we have to submit everything that way. And to my knowledge, the way that this was set up, if you look on the details of this and where I did the commission rate, it'll be, if you're on the listing side, it'll be whatever the total commission is, it'll come out in the end because it's, it's an inside deal. And then the buyer would just be whatever the buyer's percentage was from the listing. That's to my knowledge so far. Any questions, concerns, anything like that before I'll put one in for each thing just so you can see what the different documents look like. I'll do one buyer and one lease when I'm done with this. But this is like the basic.
From what I understand, that Kevin, they gave their 90-day notice. You had to give 90-day dot loop. So we have to start using this.
Yeah. At least you don't have to start, diving into it right now, but I would just at least get used to using it, like setting up all proper information, like the property address and all that, having the listing price, the commission, because I can see all the opportunities that people put in, and a lot of the people aren't putting in the address, and a lot of people aren't putting in their listing price, because you can always change that information later, but I need to be able to back check everything. If I can only see an opportunity with a name, I can't tell what the address is. So I have to reach out to everyone twice to make sure that the proper listings are in. So it kind of makes it a pain, but at the same time, I don't mind because at least, we're staying ahead a little bit. And that when everything comes said and done, everything will be preset for everyone. So everybody will have their property set up, their general information. And when I finally get the DocuSign access, admin access, then we'll have our templates as well. All right, so let me go back to my opportunity. And just so you guys know, you can play with this and make up whatever things you want. Just make sure that when you're done, you go in and mark it as a lost opportunity, because then they all stay in as
Wait, say that again about the opportunity.
So when you create the ones that are just practice opportunities, just make sure that
Make sure you
yeah,
say it's
just make
done.
sure you mark it as lost or
Okay.
archive it, one or the other.
Or yeah, I think
Then,
you can I think it's archive it. Okay.
yeah, because then when I'm going back through everything and they all show up as, I have to actually
Right.
scroll through the fake ones in order to get to the
Okay.
real ones. So especially when they're all getting addresses added to them. All right, so I'll create a buyer's one just so you guys can see the different paperwork on this end. And just so you guys know, the reason why I add 2 tags, I have tags under the contacts itself, and I have custom tags under opportunities, just because they're 2 different sections. You can search them through both ways, just makes everything a little easier. And okay. All right, so you guys can see all the information here. Everything that's really required there. Hold on, let me go back.
Okay.
Everything that's really required there is what I did. You need to have an address and you need to have some kind of budget and commission rate, just so everything will add up over time. Everything else is not essential, but if you have the information, I do recommend that you put it in. And then we can go in here for the documents. So under contract. So these are all the basic things that you need. Obviously, you can tell everything's not required, but you need the purchase offer, you need the agency disclosure, and a commission statement for the buyer, just for the buyer's end documents. Then your offer will come up when you have the purchase offer. You'll have the thing in there already, and then the commissions tab will come up. And when I get into the leases, I can show you what the actual breakdown is, because the leases will always have the commission thing come up for the landlord side. I'll show you what it looks like. Mark this as lost. Or you can archive it too, like Abby said, it works the same way. So I'll archive the opportunity. And I'll show you for those that don't know. And just make sure you guys change the opportunity type here too.
Mm-hmm.
That way it always stays consistent with everything. Don't want to make sure I've already lost a couple things, in translation, trying to find everything because I didn't change the opportunity type. So that's just a peace of mind kind of thing. So we'll do. So now when I go into this one, I'll put the address in. And all right, so the documents, you'll have all the basic documents just like we did before for listing. You'll have your under contract things. Everything will be updated in real time once I get the access. But so now when I go here into commissions, you can see that it's already up. This is the 2 things that I need to have before I can submit for anything. But it already calculates everything for you, and it'll recalculate everything after everything is submitted in. So let's just say you had someone come in or you had a referral come in, you can actually put in all that information through this. You can add items. You have all these options here for a bonus, concession, deduction, inside referral, outside referral. And if you were co-broking with someone, you can add co-broker. I don't know why they can add co-broker, but you can't do the whole buyer side if it was in-house. It's kind of weird, but you do have the access to do this if you're co-broking with someone. At that point, I don't think you need to have 2 opportunities. I think just the primary listing agent needs to have it if you guys are listing 2 things within the same office. But it's the buying and selling side that you need to have the 2 different opportunities for. All right, how's that? Any questions? Anything you want me to re-go over? Anything you want to look at? Anything you want me to change?
All right, so we can add all the documents, do it one by one, or can you do them in select?
You can do them in bulk. They'll all just add in. I would just make sure that you title whatever you're adding in.
It doesn't carry the title over from what's.
Well, no. I'm saying I would title the document. So like when most people, like, you know, when you go to the office and you scan documents and it comes up with that huge like computer generated name across the thing, I would just name it just so you know what it is when you go back to it.
All right.
Because at least when you do that, I've had some people go into documents and I had to actually scroll through and figure out what was what, and it just makes it easier when you name everything. So that would be my only piece of advice. If you're going to add everything in bulk, when you add it one at a time, at least you can add different, different files to each thing.
Oh,
but
I got you. So
when you add it in bulk, at least if everything has a name, you know what everything is.
Right. With dot loop, you have to go in and then split what you add.
And split it, yeah.
If you add like a PDF file that had like
you can add everything at once. Just make sure that if it's one big file, you have the names of everything. That way, whoever's looking at it knows what it is or what they're looking at. But otherwise, you shouldn't have a problem. Anything else? Anything that I could go over? Anything you want me to go over again? Anything on the actual command thing you want me to go into? As far as your website, you have your designs, listings, your reports. Has everybody set their goals for 2020? Just out of curiosity.
That was include G2.
In here, so hold on, let me just. So you actually get like a number breakdown of everything that you need to do to hit a goal for the entire year.
Right.
So just I'll walk you through just the setup of it, just so you guys can, if you guys want to play with it later, you can. So let's just say I'm feeling really good about this whole virus thing, so I'm going to make $500,000 this year.
Glad you're feeling good.
Yeah. Hey, if I could do $500,000 while everybody's dropping out of the business, that'd be amazing. Okay, so your cost of sale is never going to change. Your cost of sale is the royalty and capping, always $28,000, and then they say to keep your expenses at 30%. So if I spent $100,000, I'd be amazed. Let's. Jesus, I'm gonna spend like $200,000 just on marketing. All right. I could obviously really decrease that number, but they assume that whatever you're gonna make, so the 728,000, you're gonna spend at least 30% of that on whatever marketing you do. And I just figured,
right. That's based on the MERA book.
Yeah. But the way that I look at it is the difference between the 728 and the 500. That part of the 30%, whatever you don't spend just stays in your pocket anyway. So I always try to get as close to 30% as possible. Which 200,000 is fine. Which number?
Can you change the expenses?
Yeah, you can change it. That's what I've been doing, trying to get it to 30%.
Broke it down.
So if I said like $30,000 on expenses, it's only 5% of whatever I'm going to make, but that still sounds like a lot to me. $30,000 over 12 months. Well, at this point, it's what, 8 months?
Well, they're probably assuming at a $500,000 production, you're probably going to have
a lot of expenses. Yeah.
Right.
Well, if this command thing ever starts working with the ads, where it starts, turning over, real leads and stuff from this virus thing, then yeah, it's highly likely that at $1 a lead, you can do everything inexpensively. You can do your business makeup. So the percentage of buyers that you get to the percentage of listings, percentage of leases, I always keep it 50-50. And then this is actually new. So this average commission used to be as a whole. So like an average commission, across the board, now you can change it for listings, buyers, and leases. So if I said the average listing, you got like 7,500, and the average buyer, you get 5. It's going to break the number down that way into what you're going to get out of it. And then these numbers are all kind of up to you. The only number that's kind of consistent across the board is the lead to contacts, which is 6% across the KW board. Everything else from there on out is kind of to your discretion. So when you have a two-way contact with someone about real estate, how often do you guys set an appointment? I say like 75% of the time that if you have conversation, you're probably going to meet, you're probably going to set something about it. And then if you set the appointment, how often are the appointments actually kept? That's usually higher. So I go like 85%. when you meet with the people, how often do you get an agreement? You know, whether you get the listing or whether you get the permission to show houses. Again, that's probably higher, so you can go like 80%. And when you have your agreement, how often do you get the under contract or pending? You know, how often does the house get an offer, or how often do you put an offer in? Maybe like 75% of the time it happens. Oh, wait a minute, I just changed the wrong number. So 75, and then how often do you have a pending or under contract that closes? And I would say like 80% of the time. And like I said, all these numbers are up to your discretion. You can make them lower to be conservative. You can be very aggressive and be higher. It's very much up to you guys. And if I do what's next and I view the goal, hopefully they fix this where it actually shows you my numbers. Okay. So in order to do $500,000 for the year, you have to do 5,065 leads, which I've already done 6% of, which I need to really do more ads for that. An average number of contacts, 304, 228 appointments, 194 appointments kept. So you can set 228, but you need to keep 194 of them. You need to sign 155 agreements. You need to have at least 116 under contract, depending on, you know, the list price, all that comes into play. And then in order to gross 500 for yourself for the year, you'd have to close 93 deals, with 7,500 being in listing and $7,500 being coming from listings, 5,000 coming from buyers minimum. So that just gives you a breakdown, and then everything from there on out actually tracks how much you're making over the amount of time. So it's a nice little setup to have, just to see where you're at as far as what you want to do. All right, so let me go back.
Now, you know, when I'm in opportunities, Michael, I'm looking at my active listings under listings, and it says active. I have 16, but I actually have 25, so I don't know why it's not.
So when you go under opportunities,
it's not. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not accurate.
Are those pulled from Dotloop?
No, just these. If you go across the screen here and you see active, you have 2.
Yeah.
Click on that. It pulls up your 2 listings.
Yep.
In my case, I have 25 listings. I'm looking at my MLS, and it only shows I only have 16 as well. Yeah, 16. So
hold on, let me go back real quick. So if I go to the MLS under your name,
right,
you'll have 25 active.
But it's only showing 16 there.
Don't you have to pull in your own listings?
Yeah, you have to enter in everything here.
Really?
Everything that we do in opportunities, we add.
I thought that was my listings, because when I click on it, it pulls up a bunch of listings. I don't think I ever added to Dotloop. Maybe
it might have imported from Dotloop, because that was an option before.
Maybe I added them. Okay, so you're telling me you have to physically go in and add listings?
You create the opportunities. You have to make sure that your contacts are added.
Every listing's an opportunity, and to be in compliance, don't you have to add them all?
Yeah.
But I thought you would add them manually. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So that's not good. It should. I mean, you're putting the information in the MLS. It should pull the you know.
Yeah, but everything in our opportunities is manually added. So say like I took a listing. I'm supposed to take a listing tomorrow.
Right.
For land, I would have to add that to here, which I already kind of did. I already added it under my appointments.
So basically, since every listing I get, like right now, I'm putting them in Dotloop, I should be just doing that in opportunity.
Yes.
And then
I would import but the first thing you have to do is make sure that your contacts is in. Whoever your client is has to be in your contacts before you create the opportunity.
Otherwise, you can't create an opportunity.
You can't create the contact on the fly. You have to put the contact in first.
Yes.
Okay, that's another defect. Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, they're working on making it better, but with this whole thing that's going on, it's going to become a little slower.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where we're at right now.
So the good news is I got 16 of them in, so I only have
to
put 9 more.
And with 6,000, 7,000 in your database, you should have everybody in your contacts already.
Yeah,
you would think, right?
I automatically always put my sellers in Gmail, and then I have PySync syncing.
Yep.
So they're
So it goes right in
they're
there.
email, they're in my contacts. Yeah.
Okay. So you're already halfway there. All you gotta do is create the opportunity with that contact, and then
Right.
everything will auto-populate.
Right.
So all this information on the side will auto-populate as you add things in.
Right. But then, like I said, if you're doing your, if you want that to be accurate, that the financial plan you just did, you need to put all your data in there because that's tracking.
Yeah. The data for the reports will pull from all this listing information that you have here,
Right.
and then anything that you have, like my leads thing, everybody that you add as a lead in contacts, that will update that number as well.
Right. So any buyer leads you have or whatever, if you put them in that cultivate stage, then you can see, that can be where you go to follow up with people.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
And I would add them to a smart plan too. Before we get off, I'll show you one cool thing that you can add as an email.
I wish they had more plans.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing though, that we can create our own plans now. So
yeah, some people can share. I mean, they were supposed to be able to share, and then some people would try to be making money off them.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just do a quick one just so you can see what it looks like. But it's actually kind of cool because you can do this on an automated kind of status. So if I want to do a buyer, so you see how we have these two right here. What I started doing when I started creating a recurring email that goes out to my database, but the one difficult part about this is that, or you can actually do a three-way cycle with work with me seller, work with me buyer, and promoting your app. So what I did was every 30 days, a different email goes out to my database. So work with me if you want to be on the seller, and work with me if you want to be on the buyer end, and it just gives them a short. I'll just click on the buyer one just so you can see what it looks like while I'm doing this.
So when I launch the home anniversary smart campaign, does it automatically add that?
So yeah, I'll go back and I'll show you. So let me. I'll take this change template. So I haven't looked at it yet, so I have to see what it looks like. But let me.
But I mean, I want some smart plans for some sellers that I have in the past, and just said launch that anniversary plan. I don't know if that automatically includes that.
Yeah. So what I would do is let me back out of this real quick. So
it's already got the mail merges in there. Yeah.
So what I would do is, if you want to use the home anniversary thing, as you saw when I clicked on it, all this information up here, the market center name, your name, the website, phone number, all that information will auto-populate when you send the email out.
Oh, okay.
So all you have to do is create the thing, and what I usually do is, well, not for this one necessarily. I would do this for every few months. Every time you have a home buyer, just add them to the smart plan. They'll auto send out whenever it pops up.
Right.
But what I would do is add the other template, like the home buyer, promote your app, anything like that. And every 30 days, I would have it.
That could be a separate kind of thing.
Yeah. So you get this email template that has all this information auto-populate for you, individually.
Wait, can I ask you a question about the app? Because I'm really having trouble understanding how you're promoting it.
Okay.
So you're saying everything would auto-populate? So would our app?
So yeah, when you click on, let me go back to the preview. So when it says download my app down here, introducing the KW app, download my app.
Is that already personalized to us?
Yes, because your link is in your command.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
When it says download my app, it's taking the link that's in your command.
Okay.
And it's putting that link for that button.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Does our old mobile app still exist or no?
But no, that they replaced it with
that text-to number.
They changed the old KW app to the new KW search app for the consumer.
If somebody clicked on that, it would just reroute it to the new app. If I have it on like my email signature or something.
Because the link didn't change. It's just relinked to a new app.
Oh, okay.
So like you still have the exact same link. Like if you ever looked at your code before, it's the same code. It's just a new app.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that. But so what I would do,
I guess some guides within the app that we can customize.
Yeah. That's another thing. I can probably make a class for that so you guys can see what
Yeah, I need a
is
class on
added.
that because I sort of missed that. I didn't understand that the other day.
Okay. So what I would do is then I would set a delay.
That should be sooner than later, probably.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm right now I'm doing this 3 days a week, and we're gonna start setting up the classes with what am I thinking of? KWRI has classes that they're doing every few days. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out where the link for that is. There's either a registration link or there's a link that we can just click into, like you click into these things to our Zoom calls. So once I find that, then I can publish it for everyone to click into, and then you'll have not only the classes that Kevin, myself, and Terry are trying to do, or Chris, but you'll also have everything that everyone in the company is attending. So
KW Connect.
Yeah,
they have all kinds of recorded classes
there. They have the recorded classes there, but they're also doing new live calls too. So like today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, they have a whole thing set up, which Kevin sent me the thing to, which everyone should probably get an email for, but there's no links in them. That's the part that's confusing me a little bit. All there's dates, times, and there's names of people that are going to be speaking in the thing, but I can't figure out how to connect to it because they don't actually give you anything to they don't give you any kind of link for that. But I'll finish this real quick because I know everybody's probably got some stuff they want to do today. So what I do is I set a 30-day delay, and then I'll add a new email and I'll do the buyer's template. Like I said, everything auto populates anyway, so you don't have to worry about anything. Set another delay. So 30 days. So every month they're getting something new from you, whether it be your app, a buyer's template, a seller's template, and it'll all go automatically every 30 days to whoever you add to the smart plan. So I'll do that, and then
they used to do those 33 touches, and I had those pro plans. You just launched it.
Yep.
I don't know.
But that was probably through eEdge, right?
Huh?
Was it through eEdge?
Yeah, but Keller Williams created it. They just
They're trying to make everything more personal, but obviously, I don't know how long eEdge was around, but they had time to put all that stuff together. Like obviously, it didn't just populate overnight.
Yeah, before eEdge, they had the touches, but it was through a different format.
Yeah.
Like Keller, like they would set it up, like they in cooperation with Top Producer, they would have a KW version, which was part of, and all their marketing plans were Keller Williams specific.
Yeah. All right. So now that I have my app, I gotta change this. Okay, so I have my app, I have a buyer's template, and I have a seller's template. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the last delay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do restart the flow, which after the next 30 days, after the seller's template goes out, it'll restart the flow again and promote the app again. So it will be like every quarter, they'll get your same thing over and over again. It keeps putting them in front of you, and you don't have to do anything to produce it. So it makes everything a little bit more convenient.
Other than, if they clicked on it, okay, now they signed up for your app, does it stop the...
Yeah.
Does it stop sending them?
Yeah, it'll stop sending after the thing is done. Once it's kind of responded to. Because obviously, if they just look at it, then it's not going to do anything. They actually have to click into it, just like you do with the Facebook ad, where you click into it.
Gotcha.
It's very unlikely that after they click into it, the ad ever comes up for them again.
Okay.
Because they've already requested the information.
Right.
Unless you start a new app. Like let's just say I had this app promotion, and they come out with a new app promotion that I submitted a new thing to, then they would probably get that if it started again. But the same one over and over, I doubt. So now I have all 3 templates. I have my delay for 30 days, and then I can restart the flow an unlimited number of times until this whole thing goes into play. So
and then you have to name it something.
Yeah, I named it Buyers 2.0 because that's how I started.
Wow.
Oh, hold on. Let's see if that'll work. All right, so now I have that, and there's a couple different ways that you can add people to your smart plan. You can either go back. So you can add through this method right here, which will
Okay.
you can just literally search people's names and add them however you want. You can just add them in bulk too. You can only add, Paul, this is probably where it'll get a little tedious for you for doing this. You can only add up to 50 people per plan, but you can duplicate the plan and just keep adding people to it. So let's just say that each individual one of these, where it says contacts, can only have 50 at one time.
Okay.
So if you wanted, you could add, let's just say you had a certain part of your database that you wanted to reach out to. I would mark those with a tag, and then I would, search them by tag and add them into the smart plan.
Mm-hmm.
Just as an idea. But just something else for you guys to play with in the downtime while we're sitting through this.
Thank you very much.
Joey.
Okay, sweetie, love you. Saving other people?
Ticket, you're in the office.
Okay.
And the other phone, yeah.
All right. Now I had a question on where you are right there. If I see where it says import from .loop,
Yeah.
what is that?
So nothing's gonna happen for me because my .loop's no longer connected. But when you import, so let's just say you have like 5 or 6 loops, because it limits you to 25 imports.
Mine just says import. It doesn't say import from .loop.
Yeah. So this is because mine's not connected. When you have it connected, it'll probably just say import on the side, and that'll be from .loop.
Gotcha.
So when you import, it'll let you choose the information that you want to bring into command.
All right.
Which is the similar thing that we're doing with DocuSign, but except it's just the files that we need from that. But it'll actually import the information that you have from your loops, and they'll populate in here.
It brings the documents. It only brings
the actual information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just another. That's why we tried to move into DocuSign too, because at least when you go into your listing, whichever one you have, and you go into your documents, you can just auto pull information when you start the transaction. You have to have started the transaction too. You won't get the DocuSign.
Right.
Let's just say you want to add a file here, you won't get the DocuSign thing like I had before, right, unless you start the transaction.
I got you. So you have to hit start transaction, and then you can pull these documents into the ones that you need.
Yes.
So you don't fill them out. Do you fill them out in opportunities, or you just you fill them out in documents?
I create the envelope. If you look in here, I'll create the envelope through DocuSign, right, and then when I go into command, I'll just pull that whole thing into command.
That whatever that envelope's name is, which is probably, listing and seller's name. Or the listing.
Well, that's the nice thing. So let me see if I go to, because I think I have one already. When you start the transaction, you can sync the transaction, or you can actually edit it when you go back in. Let me just see if I have one set already. Yeah, so you see how you have the options right here? You can go to the transaction directly into DocuSign, or I get this thing figured out. Or when you go back in, you can sync the transaction with whatever's in DocuSign already. Mm-hmm. That way, when you sync it and you try to go down here, let's just say you want to add a file, you go into DocuSign, you just pull whatever you need over. That's the idea.
And then once you went to DocuSign, you fill out all the forms.
Yeah, like I said, if I were you, I'd create the envelope, put whatever documents you want into it, and I'll have more classes on this as we progress through it. But you would put whatever you needed into the envelope, send it out for signing, and when it comes back, you'll get the notification, and then move it into command.
Right. Well, if you physically had the documents signed, then you have to scan them into the opportunity first.
Yeah, so you would scan it just like we do regularly at the office, and then you can add a file the same way, just manually drag and drop.
Okay. So then once you get all your whatever your exclusive right to sell, Okay.
Yep, you submit to the market center.
Mm-hmm.
You make sure that the purchase offer shows up here, obviously whatever it's going to be,
right.
For the listing or the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you submit the commission, and then they'll let you know. I can actually show you. There's a whole.
Right. So we don't submit. We used to submit our listing. The listing we submit the listing, the showing instructions.
You're using a big bowl
Yeah,
for?
it'll tell you when I update everything what's required and what's not.
Oh.
And obviously, if it's optional, it's pertinent on the home that you're doing.
Okay. Yeah,
But
basically, it's one of these things you just got to get in there and do it.
Yeah. Because like I said, I can hold as many classes as you guys want, but you guys still have to play with it yourselves in order to get used to it. I've been doing the whole command thing for like 7 months now, so it's gotten very, second nature. But in order to get really familiar, you have to play with it yourself.
Right.
Anything else that you'd like to go over? You want me to write down, and I'll go over next time more in detail?
Thinking.
Hey, sorry I missed you this time, Michael. I just got back home.
No, don't worry about it, Joe. We're gonna have these 3 days a week.
Yeah, all right. Well, I don't like to miss my friend Michael Kenny.
No, I know. I don't know how you're doing right now.
Okay.
Not seeing you at the office every day. I don't know how you're doing.
Hey, hanging in there. I went to the post office just now.
Put his life in his hand.
Looked like a war zone, looking at little people with masks. When somebody saw you walking towards them, they jumped like 10 feet away.
Did you have your mask on?
No. Hey, face like this, why do I want to spoil it?
All right, everybody else is good?
All right, I'm good. Thanks.
I gotta
Mike.
practice stuff. Okay. I gotta see if I can log on to create the DocuSign. Okay.
All right. So,
Thanks,
like I
Mike.
said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know, and the next one will be same time on Wednesday.
Okay. Thanks, Michael.
No problem.
Thanks, Michael.
Take care.
No problem.